recording. Good evening and Moadim L'Simcha. I hope everybody had a marvelous Seder. Such tremendous light coming to the Pesach. All the lights, the Gadlus, the Katnus, all coming together. And here we are, in Spheres Omer. Tonight we counted 2. Second day, tremendous time. So without further ado, let me just bring up the Sipurim Maisias. I'll bring up the English text, though it is very important that we understand what the Hebrew text was, because it's very meaningful. So here we go. We said that when the cripple uprooted this grass, he has eaten, once he came to a grass, the likes of which he never had eaten before. This grass found favor in his eyes, because he had been eating grasses for a long time and was familiar with them. And he still had never seen such a grass. So we said this has to do with the kind of chizuk that he has found while he was eating grasses. Means that he wasn't privileged to consume the kind of strengthening, the kind of chayus that, of Moichin the Godless, of expanded consciousness. And the whole thing was a struggle. And now, within that particular struggle, while he has thrown himself from the wagon, while he has crawled with his the last remnants of energy that he had, and he was eating grass, and the grass that he was eating, that is analogous to he was finding any kind of chizuk, any kind of source of happiness, of simcha, of chizuk that he could possibly have. And dafka then, while he was eating grasses, he found this very special kind of chizuk. Suddenly something clicked in him. And as we will see, this is all due to the fact that he has never gave up the struggle. So within the struggle, he found a special grass, and he came to the decision to pull it out with its root. Beneath the root was a diamond. The diamond was square. Each side had a different property. On one side it was written that whoever grasped that side will be transported to the place when the day and night gather together, when the sun and moon gather together. Now, as we said before, when the cripple had uprooted this grass, underneath which was the diamond, he happened to grasp that side, so he was transported to the place where the day and night meet, which is the place in the sun and the moon meet. And he looked around, and behold, it was there. We said that this particular Nikuda says to you that it may look to you that you're so far away and you'll never ever be able to get to where you need. You're busy with your struggle. You're busy with, you know, naturally, there's no way, shape, or form that you will ever make it. And you see that suddenly, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants, boom, there he is. He looked around and behold, he's there. And this is what he has found at this particular place. He had the sun talking to the moon. The sun was complaining to the moon. Since there is a tree that has many branches, fruit, and leaves, and each of its branches, fruits, and leaves has a unique property. This one is conductive or conducive, I'm sorry, for having children. Another for livelihood. Another for healing this illness, and another for healing a different illness. Each one possesses a different property. So this tree should be watered. If it would be watered, these properties would be extremely conducive. But not only do I not water it by shining on it, I dry it out. To understand what the sun is saying here. The sun and the moon, the day and the night. We said, as when we said on the Akdama, we spoke about Pesach. We said that the sun symbolizes understanding and expanded consciousness. You see it, you know it, you understand it. This is Seichel. The moon, on the other hand, represents the night, represents darkness, represents Emunah. You don't see with your eyes, you don't know, you don't get it, you don't grasp it. And the complaint of the sun here is that here is a tree. This particular tree is obviously the Etz HaChaim. It's a tree of life. That's the Torah. And this tree has to be watered. The waters of the Etz HaChaim are the waters of Emunah. Now, a tree needs the sun as well. But the sun's complaint is that I'm shining on it and I dry it out. What the sun is saying, the Seichel is saying, there is an overabundance of Seichel, of Das, of understanding, of sophistication. The tree needs a balance of water, which waters him from within, and the sun, which gives him the ability to actually, to do photosynthesis, and to turn, to breathe, as it were, and to turn, the CO2, into oxygen and give life. The same thing Rabbeinu says in Torah Daled, that all the Torah that a person learns in order to do and to keep, all the letters of this Torah are sparks of neshamas. And these spark of neshamas, they become embedded in the tefillah. And the tefillah is like a womb and encapsulates that spark of neshama. And there's an interrelation between the two of them. The tefillah, which is emunah, encompasses the neshama, and it shines to it. And the spark of the neshama shines to the emunah. And the emunah renews, the neshama gives the emunah a greater strengthening. Because when you just believe without knowing, without any doubts, without any details, so the emunah is sort of like flat. It's not excited. But when you fortify the emunah with knowledge of Torah, the emunah comes alive. It gives chiyus, it gives life to the emunah. So it's called that the neshamas, they give the emunah what they call aloes man. This is the yearning that the emunah has, to yearn for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. On the other hand, the emunah, the tefillah, shines to the das, to the neshamas. When you learn Torah, you just learn the details. The dry detail. This is this, is this, is this. So you just know it, but it's like it's dry. It's not alive. It's not alive. But when you learn and you believe, so the more you believe in what you learn, the more you believe in the importance of what you learn, you see different things in what you're learning. You see chidushim. If you don't believe in what you're learning, so it's okay, so you're memorizing details. But if you believe in what you're learning, the emunah shines to the neshamas in the b'chinas chidushim. This is the give and take of the sun and the moon. And the sun, which is the source of das, the source of knowledge, of knowing, of wisdom, Rabbeinu says in Torah Aleph, has a complaint. When we see also the moon also has a complaint. And in a sense, both complaints are one and the same. What they're lamenting is that the tree, that this incredible tree that is conducive to all the amazing, things in the world, all the properties of parnasa, of refuah, and everything else. It needs a very delicate balance of das, which is the sun, and emunah, which is water. It comes from the moon. And the sun is lamenting here, I am bestowing, there's an overexposure of seichel, of das. The Mishnah says in Pirkei Avos, anybody whose wisdom is greater than his deeds, his wisdom does not last. Because it doesn't have a base. It has to be rooted in the ground. It has to be rooted in emunah. Like this, the tree can stand. On the other hand, without water, nothing ever begins. So the son is saying, I am giving more chokhmah. I'm giving more chokhmah than is appropriate. And what happens is it's too much. When the whole idea is, the Etz Chaim that has all the holy midos. Every single midah has tremendous hashpahs, tremendous bounty, tremendous chasadim. And everything is conducive, everything is a segula, which is above nature. And this is where the chasadim HaKadosh Baruch Hu come, and all his wonders to people. And everything depends on watering the tree, as we said in the beginning of the story. Which means watering trees means that we have to elevate the holy sparks. And this brings, when we elevate the holy sparks, which is Allah Isman, this brings about the moichin, the consciousness to the midas. So there has to be a balance between the moichin, which is the sun, and the midas, which is the emunah. Everything depends on watering the tree. You have to lift up, and says the kedusha. This is the thing that waters the tree, that gives it life. Then the tree becomes incredibly conducive to all these incredible ilyonim. It can give supernatural Yeshuas. That's what the Chama said. That's what the sun says. That it bestows light and seichel to the world, in too great a quantity. It dries up the tree. It spoils the midas. And they become too bad midas. This is the root, for the reason says the Shvias HaKelim. This is the root of all the forces of evil. It all becomes because there's too much light. It is a very common thing that when people are far away from the tzaddik, one of the main avoiders of the tzaddik is the tzaddik is called the mother of Am Yisrael. And what he does is the tzaddik both feeds Am Yisrael, like the kedusha, like a mother feeds a baby. But at the same time, the tzaddik makes sure that the person doesn't get overheated, doesn't get overexcited, doesn't get over obsessive. That there is a very careful balance between how much how much obsession, how much excitement there is, and how much watering comes into it. What is the emunah? That means that you do despite the fact that things don't shine to you. You do it despite the fact that you may be going through hard times. All this is an offshoot and a result of the emunah. And the tzaddik keeps the balance between this and that. Rabbeinu says it also in Teres HaMechei. There's the famous story of Yom HaBoaz and Rus. The tzaddik is the gardener. He's the Baal HaSoda. He's the owner of the field. And that particular field, Rabbeinu says, has this tremendous plants that are growing there. These plants are neshamas. And the Baal HaSoda, the owner of the field, has to look over the field, has to make sure that every single plant has the sustenance that it needs. And the tzaddik has to separate between the plants to make sure that one plant doesn't take away from the other, that each plant has its own living space. This kind of tzimtzum is, enough but not too much, is the secret to very healthy advancement in Avodas Hashem. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the Torah to Am Yisrael, he warned Moshe Rabbeinu, warn the people not to scale the mountain because that will hurt them. What happens is that every person has his own kalim, his own capacity, his own intellectual capacity, whatever it is that he can, his own bandwidth, if you will. And when you learn, when you advance, when you get up, as you scale the mountain, as you go up in Madrigas and Avodas Hashem, it is very, very important not to look below where you are, which means not to look at things which are not befitting you. Not to do that. At the same time, a person needs to be very careful also not to look above his station, not to look at that which he is not fit for, which he doesn't have the wherewithal with which to do it, with which to assimilate it, to digest it. We spoke about, when we learn Likutei Moharan, we said what happens is, this is the unit of the eyes of Moshe Rabbeinu. Utmunas Hashem Yabit. The Moshe Rabbeinu looks at the image of Hashem, and looking at the image of Hashem means that Moshe Rabbeinu, when we say it, we always understand it as this amazing shevach, this amazing praise of Moshe Rabbeinu. Like, he's seeing Hashem, he's looking at Hashem. But the Tmunas Hashem Yabit, the image of Hashem, Moshe gazes upon, it doesn't talk about that which Moshe sees. He doesn't say, wow, do you know Moshe Rabbeinu has such an amazing asaga, such an amazing madrega that he sees a Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's not what it is saying. That's not Tmunas Hashem Yabit. Tmunas Hashem Yabit means is what he is looking at. In other words, he says the image of Hashem Moshe looks at. The Maila, the praise, is what is in Moshe. What Moshe Rabbeinu is doing, not in what he's getting out of it. Like, wow, he's so great. He sees the Kadosh Baruch Hu. No. He's looking at the Kadosh Baruch Hu. What does it mean? It means he's looking only in what the Kadosh Baruch Hu gives him reshut to look at. He doesn't look above that. When you don't look below what you should, and you don't look above what you should, you are getting sustained and nourished exactly to your capacity. Then you always grow in Avodas Hashem. People that are far from the tzaddik, they don't have this precision feeding, this drip feeding. They don't have this thing that keeps the balance. So what happens is that they get fed of too much sunshine, too much das. Because when you get into Torah, and this is your background, this is what you see, what you hope to see, but there's no proper constriction of the exposure that you get extremely dissatisfied. You know, just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You know, it's like you're broken from both sides. Where you really want to be, you don't get any chas from that. You don't get any, you know, any kind of excitement for where you want to be because you're not there. And from where you are, you also don't get any excitement because you don't want to be here. You want to be there. You want to be a tzaddik. You want to be Navi Hashem. You want to be a Talmid Chacham. You want to be there. You don't want to be here. So as a result, you're kirech mikan mikan. You're bold on both sides. So as a result, Yiddishkeit becomes extremely unsatisfying. So two things may happen. One is that you may fall off. Not necessarily chas v'chalila fall off from Yiddishkeit. That happens too. But even if you do stay, then Yiddishkeit becomes blasé. You know, it's like, okay, you know, I'm in. I'm part of who everybody is, and I'm inside. You know, who says I have to be all the way here? Somewhere in the middle. It's no big deal. Because Yiddishkeit doesn't give you life, doesn't give you excitement. But when a person, the other possibility is that you have more das, so you start building, because you need excitement, so you start building your own version of Yiddishkeit. And you get excited by that. And you come up with all kinds of you become a rabbi, you become I don't know. The one thing is for sure, you're not watering the tree. So this is what the son is saying. The son is saying, you know, I'm just giving it too much das. I'm drying up the tree. So instead of being a source for all these miracles, for all these incredible things, I'm drying out the tree. Arizal says that every single mountain and every single tree and every single leaf, every branch and every leaf has an angel. And there is a minister, a prince in Shemayim to every single tree. And every single leaf, you know, according to the way that the stature of that minister in the Shemayim, this is how the tree is doing. If the minister, gets, higher up and becomes more influential, Shemayim, so that tree blooms. If that minister goes down in stature, then the tree, the physical tree, dries out. And it is said this is why the reason the person should not tear a leaf off from a tree if there's no need for it. Because you are affecting the minister of that particular tree in the Shemayim. Let me just hold on for a minute. There we go. So this is the complaint of the sun. Let's take a look at the complaint of the moon. So not only do I not water it, by shining on it, I dry it out. The moon answered, you are worried the worries of others. Let me tell you my worries. In other words, the sun is worried about the effect that it has on the tree. The moon is saying, let me tell you the problems I am having. Not somebody else's problem, the tree, but my worries. And he says, I have 1,000 mountains. And he says, surrounding these 1,000 mountains are another 1,000 mountains. And that is the place of the demons. The Gemara says that the first 1,000 mountains, this is the shining, that's the place of the Kedusha. This is the amazing shefa that comes from the sphere of the Bina, because in the exalted level of Bina, which exists in Olam Abriya, the Shechina is called Behema. In comparison to, the existence of Pchinas Odom, of man, of Atzilus. So in comparison, the Bria is called Behema. It's called Behema Sadai. This is the animal of the field, the animals of the name Shin Daled Yud. It says that Behema is eating the fruits of 1,000 mountains. The Shechina, the first 1,000 mountains are the ashpah that comes into the world, which is 100 times 10. Rabbeinu says in Torah Daled that there is a bechina of ma, Sferas HaChochma, which is called ma. Ma means what? It's the letter Mem He. The Torah is saying, Al tikra ma, don't call it ma, but mea. Mea means 100. You enter into the ma, into the Mem and the He, you're inserting in there the letter Aleph. The letter Aleph makes it tangible. This is how we're able to capture, because ma is just a question. Mea is already something which is tangible. And the letter Aleph is the same letters of Elef Harim, 1,000 mountains. When the Elef comes into the ma, this is called Mea. This is when the Bina, is shining down all the Shefa Elokim, and the world can have all the incredible hashpahs of that tree, Eitz Hadas, the Eitz Chaim. But what happens is that when these 1,000 mountains, which are the very edge of the sphere of Malchus, when there is a problem there, then the Shefa, the demons, they latch on to the spheres of Chochmah. That's the second ring of mountains. That second ring of mountains is the place of the demons. That's the place that leeches off the Shefa of every single thing, of every single person, every single Shefa that comes from above. When it's not contained, when it's not protected, when it's not ensconced and cloaked with the light of Chashma, with the light of Amunah, when there's a problem there, problem in the balance, what happens is that the vessel and the lights don't fit one another. and that causes the vessel to break and the light to spill over. And therefore, the demons and the klipos, they have unika, they have the source from there. They suck from there, they get chiyus from there. And it says, the moon says as follows: now the demons have chicken-like feet. They don't have the strength in their own feet, so they suck strength from my feet. On account of this, I have no strength in my feet. Notice that here we're talking about parallel bechinas to the cripple. What is a cripple? A cripple is somebody that has no strength in his legs. It's not an amputee. He has legs, but he has no koyach in his own legs. When the demons in themselves have chicken-like feet, in Hebrew it says ragletar negolim, of roosters like the feet of roosters, legs of roosters. A rooster is a very, very special animal. It's the animal that senses when there is an outpouring of the flame of the gvuras that happens in Chatzos. It hits him, it hits the rooster under its wings, and it awakens it to call out in the time of Chatzos. It gives the rooster the sense to tell when it is the end of the first part of the night, which is dinam, and when does Chatzos start. This is the start when the chasodim are starting to grow. Now all this is standing on very rickety legs. These are the legs that need to be strengthened. So on one side, you're talking about these demons that have no legs. This is what Rabbeinu says, that the Gemara says, the sheker and lo aglaim, the sheker has no legs, has no feet to stand on. The letters of Shin, Kuf, and Resh, which make up the word sheker, each one has a pointy, each one of them has a pointy bottom. They have no legs, they're wobbly. They cannot stand on their own. And when they suck from the malchus, they're sucking from the raglei or the smavis, they're sucking from the very feet of the malchus, the very bottom rung of the malchus. What happens? It produces a cripple. It produces a cripple that have no strength on the feet. That's what the Levana says. Because of them, on the account of this, I have no strength in my feet. The Malchus de Kedusha becomes weakened. The Malchus de Kedusha becomes a cripple. Now, the words in English over here do not really, every now and then, that's the best translation you can come up with, but it's very important to know the words in Hebrew for this particular story. It says, and I have a powder that is a healing for my feet, but the wind comes along and carries it away. Here, the moon is giving up the secret and the problem. The refuah and the thing that makes things worse. In Hebrew it says, V'yeshli avak, I have dust, which gives me refuah to my legs. But here comes the wind, and that wind blows away that dust. Avak, the first time that we see the root of avak, of dust, is is Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu is fighting against the minister of Esav. Vivaser Yaakov levadai. And Yaakov has been left all alone. There's nobody there. There's nobody to talk to. There's nobody to get chizuk from. You're feeling all alone. The Zohar says, Kivyochel, even the Sefer Kodesh Baruch Hu left him. V'ya'avek ish imoy. And Ish, that minister of Esav, the prince of Esav, the heavenly prince of Esav, was nevak imo. He struggled with him. He wrestled with him. And the root of the word ma'avak, which is a wrestling, which is a contest, is these three letters of Aleph, Beis, Kuf, which is avak. Avak, which is the struggle, is also the Rosh Hashanah of Os Bris Kodesh. The moon is saying, I have a thing that strengthens my feet. The thing that strengthens my feet is the struggle that the Jew struggles to keep himself as a Jew and to strengthen himself and to hold on. Arizal says in Sha'ar Gilgulim that there's a very complex Indian there where what was the story with Yosef and the wife of Potiphar, and it says that 10 drops of or 10 seeds came from the nails of the feet of Yosef Atzadik. It says, Adam just says the hands. He says, because each one of these drops is color of chasadim and gvuros, the right hand and the left hand. But really it came out of the feet. The pgam bris is the pgam of the feet. These are the legs of the demons. What is the refuah? How do you heal that? Is avak, this struggle, this war that a Jew is keeping on. A Jew keeps on struggling in order to keep his kedusha. That is the thing that gives the chayas, the kedusha, the life force. But there comes a wind, and the wind blows away this dust. This avak, this wind, Rabbeinu says in Torah Lamed Ches, Ruach Se'ora. Ruach Se'ora, this is a storm wind. Of the Torah Ches also. This is the minister, the prince of Esav. It's Ruach Se'ora that is big during his time, but then just wastes out. It's a big hurricane. Then just, fiddles away and just, fritters away and just disappears. It does not last. But this is the deus, the foreign opinions of each and every one of us. The things that keep us away from where you need to be, from where we need to be. I have to tell you something. It's a little embarrassing, but I have to tell you. I was listening, I was dealing a little bit, what's going to be with the elections and who you should vote for and this and that. And this will have a government like this and this won't have a government like that, and whatever it is. So I had a svara, maybe I should vote for somebody else and not for, the Haredi um, parties, because it's important now the party should get in. That way there'll be a government, whatever it is. So before I actually went to vote, I called my Rav and I asked him, who should I vote for? So he said, vote for whoever you want. I said, I was thinking maybe I should vote for this particular party, whatever it is. So he scolded me. He says, what are you talking about? All Gdol Israel said you need to vote for the Haredi parties. Why do you think you have to vote for this party? So I started telling him, I thought this party needs to get in, it'll be a government. So he said, you're talking like a dumbbell. Literally. You're talking like a dumbbell, like a dunce. He used this word. So I said, well, because I am a dunce, because I am a dumbbell. He says, well, if you're a dumbbell, then don't talk. I realized, he said, all Gdol Yisrael said, this is what you should do. What is the thing that suddenly got you this idea that maybe you should do this, we should do that, vote for somebody else, all this cheshbonis? Because I allowed the wind in, this storm and wind, all this cheshbonis. And it blew away the dust, the avok, the emunah. Gdol Yisrael said to do this. How did I get this kind of cheshbon? Maybe I should do this, should do that. Because I was listening to things I shouldn't have listened to. I've allowed myself to become exposed to cockamamie theories of anything which is not the emunah, not the straight emunah. So suddenly I have different kind of thoughts. This is the wind. When you allow the wind in, I'm not even talking about, the the secular winds. This bechlal. But even by us, all the talk about politics and about this and this one has this chance and you should do this, you should do that, and this or that. This is ruchos rois. This is ill wind. This is ill wind that blows away the avok. Believe me, the struggle to keep the emunah is hard enough as it is. It doesn't need any help from us open up the barn doors to the storm wind of idiotic thoughts and cheshbonis, because inevitably they influence us. Whenever it is that we'll listen to something that we need not to listen to, it influences us. We may think it doesn't, but it does. And the thing that it does, it weakens our legs. Our emunah doesn't have legs, is losing the legs to stand on. We become weakened. And the way to become weakened is in Gamma Bris. Gamma Bris is whenever it is you're not thinking of Kodesh Baruch Hu. I mean, it has many, many levels. But it starts from when the machshava is. As Baal Shem Tov said, V'sartem v'avadatem Elohim achirim. When you stray, you will stray and you will serve idols. Baal Shem Tov said, when you stray, it's as if you're already worshiping idols. Gamma Bris starts when you take away your mind away from the Kadosh Baruch Hu. We have to deal with this world. We have to take care of our business. We have to take care of our parnasa. We have to take care of our health. We have to take care of all the people. But the prime directive, the prime cheshbon amongst all these things should always be, what does a Kodesh Baruch Hu want me to do? How does Kodesh Baruch Hu want me to speak to my wife? What does the Kodesh Baruch Hu wants me to? Am I thinking right now in my mind? Kodesh Baruch Hu knows what I'm thinking about. Is this what he wants me to think of? When I'm speaking, is that what I want Kodesh Baruch Hu to speak about? Are these the words that he wants me to say? When I deal with my family, when I deal with my children, when I deal with friends, how do I make them feel? How do people see it from the other side? Many times I don't even have to say anything. I just come about, and in my mind, I'm criticizing. I'm disapproving. It's enough. I'm not saying a word. I'm not saying anything. But the people around me are already feeling it. They feel intimidated. When you criticize in your own mind and you're coming into a room, you intimidate the people there. Obviously, when you say what you need not to say, how much more so that you're causing damage. But when you voluntarily open up the doors to let the wind in, it blows away the avak, it blows away the dust. It weakens the emunah. It damages the legs. The emunah no longer has the legs to stand on. The battle is stacked up against us enough without us having to help the other side. When we do this, the demons can thrive. And as we say, that the main union of demons, as we'll see later, is the main avak, the main thing that helps us is simcha. The existence of the demons in itself is the atzvos. Rabbeinu says, if you keep yourself with simcha, Kadosh Baruch Hu himself will guard your covenant. The demon represents dissatisfaction, depression, being broken. And you have all the reasons in the world for it. But the main reason is that you have opened the barn doors to ill wind. So what we need to take out of it is, first of all, stay away as much as you can. Stay away from foreign influences. What you don't need to know, don't expose yourself to it. You don't need to know the news. You have to find something that gives you chayas, but you don't need to know the news. They don't matter anyhow. All the news that you read today are as relevant as the headlines that were published in the time of President Ford. Remember President Ford? Gerald Ford, the one after Nixon. Remember him? Do you remember what headlines were in the newspaper then? I don't remember, but there were headlines. The headlines of today are as relevant as the headlines then. But what they do is they suck you in. It's important to know. I got to know the news. You don't have to. You got to know whether you dream HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants you to or not. That's it. You don't need to know anything else except for that. Yeah, but What are Yankees doing, man? Did they trade for this? Did they trade for that? How is Aaron Judge doing? A big guy, that hits home runs. How is he doing? If you know how he's doing, you're bringing in the Ruchsa. You can say, listen, but I have no chayas. I can't. I'm bored. I don't get, the life, the excitement from Torah. I get whatever I get, but listen, I can't change it from day one, to the next day. Suddenly I'm somebody else. I can't do this. Okay. You need to be able to judge things for yourself, but at least understand that, you have to make sure that you don't damage yourself, that you don't get depressed. But at the same time, you have to know what it's really about. And as you will strengthen yourself, these things that interest me, they really shouldn't. I really something I should stay away from. In the meantime, I can't. Okay, fine. So you can't. But just keep it in mind. Keep it in mind. This is not what I'm about. I'm not about the Yankees. I'm not about Biden. I'm not about Netanyahu. I'm not about, I don't know, whatever. I'm not about that. I'm looking at it because what do you want me to do? Climb the walls? I'm not saying. Each one has to know himself. But at least keep it in mind, this is not for me. In the meantime, I'll strengthen myself a little bit more in Torah, a little bit until I'm able to pair off and pair off and pair off everything. Until B'ezrat Hashem, I'll be able to water the tree the way it's supposed to be. Ad Khan for today. Thank you so very much for being here. B'ezrat Hashem on Thursday night, Bli Neder. We'll return to Likutei Moharan. Thank you